All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to talk about Travis Kelce and what the Chiefs should do with him in 2025. Now, I think ultimately it's going to come down to what Kelce wants to do and not coming off of his greatest performance. You want to talk about, bad performances. Patrick Mahomes was not good in the Super Bowl. Was not. And Travis Kelce, um, he was a no-show too. He was a no-show in the Super Bowl as well. And, really was just, he was another guy that was just a non-factor. And I apologize, my segment title is off here. But he was another guy that was just a no-show in the Super Bowl. And on more than one instance. Didn't really show up in the stats department. It was relatively quiet. Whenever he made a catch, he would just fall to the ground. And then on top of that, there was a penalty on this play, but Mahomes is scrambling around and Kelce's just standing there, not looking to try to, get open. Mahomes picked up a first down, but again, there was a penalty on the play. He did nothing on that play. And then also, when they were trying to, give the offensive line some extra help to block, guys were blowing right past him. They were going right through him like he was a door. It was really disappointing to see. And here's a picture of him here from that night. But there was a lot of shots of him during the game. Just looked like he just was not interested in playing. He just looked like he was ready to go home. Just like the rest of the team. And, he had career lows in receiving yards, was not the same touchdown threat that we've seen over the years. And like I said, in the Super Bowl, catch some passes and then he would just fall. He would just get tackled. He wouldn't try to turn up field and try to make a move on some guys, wouldn't try to truck anybody, hurdle, nothing. You got none of that. And now next year, I think his cap hit is at $19 million. That's a lot. For a guy that's in his 30s, his mid-30s. For me, Kelce has to take a significant pay cut. And I don't know how true this is, but the Chiefs maybe look at him more as a role player now. Well, $19 million you don't give to a role player. So if he wants to keep playing, he's going to have to play at a reduced cost. Can't be playing under what he's making right now. Now, what do I think? Should he keep playing? Should he not? Look, he had 800 yards receiving this year, or last year. He's not the same player he once was. Last year, 2023, a lot of people were talking about his decline, but I said, yeah, but there was injuries and, it happens. And then he had a good postseason. But now this year, or last year, I'm still caught in that middle, in the middle with this year, last year, whatever. Last year, even though the year just happened. Yeah, it's just, he wasn't the same. Did have that monster playoff game performance against the Texans. What did he have, like 170 yards? Now, part of that was because, the middle of the field was wide open and he had that big run, big catch and run. But, yeah, even then you're watching him run and he's running so slow. So, if he wants to come back, like I said, it's got to be at a reduced cost. Otherwise, the Chiefs, they can cut ties with him if they want to. And this is the tough part of the business, because he's been such a great tight end for so long. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And, he's really contributed to this run that the Chiefs have had. But, at some point the wheels are going to fall off. And he even said that himself. He said he's going to stop playing when the wheels fall off. Now, I didn't think it was going to be this game. I thought this was going to be a competitive game. I thought he would do well. Maybe put a little of a bit of a wager, a parlay together, including him, because I thought, hey, he was quiet in the championship game against the Bills. This is where he's going to make his presence felt here in the Super Bowl, and that did not happen. His presence was not felt because, like I said, guys were just blowing right past him when he was going to block. Yeah, it was a tough game for everybody, and I think he should take as long as he needs. At some point, the Chiefs are going to have to know, like, what's the deal? You're playing or you're not? But, it's not easy. It's not easy because this is a big part of his life. And, who's to say the Chiefs can't get back to the Super Bowl next year? The success that they've had. Now they got something to motivate them. They got bulletin material. 40-22. And they're going to be saying, we got to get back there and win it this time. And there's nobody that's going to feel sorry for them because, they've won so much. But now they're going to be motivated. Because some people look at that performance, I do in a way, and say, yeah, I feel like they just were not prepared going into the game. They came out flat. Now, I don't want to discredit the Eagles because the Eagles were clearly the better team. That's really why. That's really what happened. The Eagles just outplayed the Chiefs. They were the better team in all phases. But I do think the Chiefs also just, they didn't bring it. But that's just me though. So, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and this offseason, they're going to have to figure some things out, and I do think they will. The offensive line needs some work. I do think that they need to add another weapon, another pass catcher. I also do think they need to bring in a running back. They need to get back to, actually, I don't know if they necessarily need to get back to, the Tyreek Hill days, but they do need to get more explosive on offense to an extent. And you saw Xavier Worthy, what he was able to do in the Super Bowl. I know you could say, well, it was in garbage time. I get it, but still, I give Worthy credit there. You're going to get Rashee Rice back. But, who's their third receiver going to be? Kelce, I just don't think is that explosive weapon anymore. I don't. When it comes to fantasy, unless it's in, like, the later rounds, I'm not looking to take him as a tight end. He's going to fall in fantasy drafts. Well, that is if he continues to play. And this guy was, like, the number one tight end for, like, 3 or 4 years straight. Now it's like, yeah, I'm not trying to take him. So, yeah, I don't think he's not that explosive weapon anymore. But, it happens. He's been playing for a long time. It's not like he's had a short career. I think he's the same age as Gronk. And I know we did this debate on the last show, but Gronk to me is always going to be the greatest tight end. Kelce's a close second. Kelce's right up there, but to me he's second. So if he ends up retiring, it's to me it's going to be sad because it's another great player that you got to see walk away, but he's got his whole life set up, basically. He's got the podcast. He's dating an international superstar. He's got it all. He's got the resume to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah, it's a bitter way to end a career. But if he does end up retiring, I mean, I don't think he has anything to be ashamed of. Just not the best way to go out, of course, because your team just got destroyed in the Super Bowl on the grand stage. But not everybody's going to end their career like Peyton Manning. You know, it doesn't happen. So we'll see what happens, though. You know, what do you guys think, though? You think Kelce's going to retire? You think he's going to come back? I do think, for me, I do think he would be open to taking a pay cut. Because he wants to win. Patrick Mahomes wants to win. You know, Mahomes, if he has to restructure his contract, he'll do that. Why can't Kelce? You know, Kelce's making money in other areas. You know, if he wants to stay and continue to win, take a pay cut. Now, if it's a significant pay cut, yeah, maybe he's not open to it. I do think he's open. He would be open to a pay cut, but it could come down to how much of a pay cut. There's so many things to figure out here. The biggest thing is, does he want to play? I just think it's, you know, it's just the recent event of losing the Super Bowl, and that's why you're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to keep playing. You know, had they won, he would have been like, yeah, we're going to run it back again next year. He said he wants to keep playing till the wheels fall off. But like I said, did the wheels fall off already? Who knows? I think we're getting closer to that, but I wouldn't say they have quite fallen off yet. It looks like it now because, you know, the Eagles destroyed them in the Super Bowl. But that's my thoughts there. Let me know what you guys think, though, about Kelce. You think he should come back? What do you think the Chiefs should do? Should they cut him? You know, will he take a pay cut? Let me know in the comments. But he would be hard to replace. Now, they do have Noah Gray, who was more of a factor this year. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see, you know, how this all plays out. So we are going to take our next break, and then when we come back, we will talk about Juan Soto. So position players have arrived to camp for spring training, and we're going to talk about Juan Soto and the expectations for him going into this year with the Mets. How is he going to perform? So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.